Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy, a compulsive eater from Los Angeles, California. And it's the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let's get started with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that cannot change, the courage to change the things that can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, if you could go ahead and mute yourselves for now, that would be great. So welcome to our second town hall of 2025. And this is an opportunity for people to ask questions and make suggestions and raise concerns and give feedback to the Board of Trustees. I will go through our whole agenda, but let's go ahead and do some introductions first. So I am Stacy. I'm the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, and let's see who else is here from the board. Grania.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grania, compulsive eater, and I am the outgoing chair of the Board of Trustees. Thank you. I'm in Ireland.
Thank you. In Ireland. And we have Marvin. Marvin.
I'm Marvin from New York, trustee on the board.
Thank you. Maggie.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Maggie. I'm a compulsive eater, and I am a member of the board.
And Barbara.
Good morning, everyone. Barbara L. from Boston, and I am also a member of the board.
Thank you, Jen.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jen, member of the board. I'm on the other side of the state from Barbara.
And am I missing any board members? Okay. We have the timer today is going to be Marvin. Thank you. And I'm going to tell you the agenda. So what the agenda is we are going to do introductions like we just did. And then the your world service questions and feedback concerns, we'll do that for 20 minutes. And then we'll have our special topic. And today, that's the results of the GSA satisfaction survey. And Barbara L. is going to lead that for 20 minutes. And then we have an update on our progress for our vision for world services. So we have 20 minutes to talk about the integrity of the gray sheet. Grania will do that. Literature, Sharon will do that. Public information, Aaron will do that. And website, that will be Carolyn. And then we'll have presentations for a total of 50 minutes from 3 intergroups. We'll do Southern Central intergroup. That'll be Caroline. We'll have Ayala from Israel and Inga from Iceland. And then we will do our report on the 7th tradition. Am I missing, Grania, am I missing anything? And then announcements. No, I think that's it.
Perfect.
Okay, that's it. All right, but Marvin, I'll give you specific times when we get started. So the first thing that we will do is up to 20 minutes, and that will be on any questions, feedback, concerns that you have for the Board of Trustees. And please go ahead and ask any question you'd like. Just remember that each group and intergroup is autonomous. And so we can answer questions as best as we can about world services. But when it comes to why doesn't this particular group use this format, we have nothing to do with that. That's up to the group. So, all right. So I'm here ready to listen. Any questions, you can raise your virtual hand, please. And while I'm waiting for that, if in the chat, you can please put your name, contact information, and if you're involved in service in any way, like a GSR or ISR on a committee, you could put that in the chat. Just don't put questions in the chat, please, because I can't see it as I'm facilitating. And now I will be quiet and wait. Maggie.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you for doing this. And I know I'm on the board, but I wonder if we could talk a little bit about the survey for conference approved literature And I'm not sure that it went the full route. And I'm wondering, I think maybe other people are wondering what happened with the survey for conference-approved literature.
Okay, that's a really good question. Is it no longer on the banner?
No, the banner now says the town hall.
Okay,
Can I-
let me give it to Carolyn to answer for website. Go ahead.
The survey is still on the homepage of GreySheet.org. It's in a new banner at the bottom. If you go to GreySheet.org, the main homepage, you scroll down to the bottom, it's in just as large of a banner, but it's just lower down because we wanted to have something more timely at the top. It had already been at the top for like 2 months. So, and it will stay up until April 30th, as was the agreement, or whenever people want it up. So,
Okay. Does that answer your question, Maggie?
Yes, that does. Thank you so much. I just didn't scroll far enough down. And one more thing about the survey was I heard that la comunidad de España, these poor people, we always murder their name, that there was something about the translation for them. And I wonder if you could talk about that.
Sure. I'm going to hand that over to either Linda or Grania. Do you want, okay, Linda, as chair of structure, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, around the gee, I don't know the exact date, around the 10th or something of March, the Spanish version of the question got put up, but it was phrased exactly the opposite. So for a while there, one question asked, do you support the use of conference-approved literature as a requirement for becoming a group on the website, and the opposite question on Spanish. And so after about 2 weeks, we've discovered that we've switched it around, and so it's accurate now.
Okay, great. And just for some clarification, if people don't know what we're speaking about, I believe it was 2021-ish, maybe I'm right, it doesn't really matter. The conference voted to list meetings on the website when groups were using conference-approved literature, either GSA conference-approved literature and or AA conference-approved literature. Since then, there were some people who felt like, you know what, I really don't like that requirement. I know each group is autonomous, so they could use whatever they want, but whether or not it's listed seemed to be something more of a affecting GreySheet as a whole, whether or not newcomer can go to that meeting if it's using something other than conference-approved literature. So we put this survey together, the structure committee did, one question, and it's, do you think that groups should use, I'm paraphrasing, that groups meetings should be listed on the website if they're using something other than GSA or AA conference approved literature. That's paraphrasing. That's been out for 3 months. At the end of April, the structure committee, it's totally anonymous. The structure committee will gather that information and then make some sort of recommendation or not. So that's what that survey is about. Any other questions about that survey? At the bottom, big banner at the bottom of the first page of GreySheet.org. Okay. Any other questions, comments, feedback?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for everybody that answered that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie, for asking it. Okay, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So what we could do was we could move on with the agenda, and then we'll have time that we'll earmark at the end to continue this discussion if that works for people. Okay, let's do that. So thank you for the timing, Marvin. The next thing on the agenda is the special topic, and that I'm going to turn it over to Barbara L. And Marvin, that's 20 minutes to time, please. And that's the result of the GSA satisfaction survey. So Barbara L., I'm turning it over to you. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you to everyone. Good morning. Barbara L. I've been abstinent. It's coming up on 20 years, and I am grateful to be a part of this community and a member of the Board of Trustees. I have been very active in the Watertown community for many years and for my entire abstinence, but I joined the board in April of 2023, and this has actually been my first official service position in the World Service. The reason we thought about doing a survey around gray sheet satisfaction was really like I had heard some rumblings in local Zoom meetings about World Service, and not only what was it, but what the perception was. People felt like gray sheet was becoming structured, and at the same time on board meetings, I was hearing that there was drop off in service. And that is how a group of us came really to creating this survey, like, what's up? What's going on? The gray sheet, the literal gray sheet is a staple, and we're all in agreement on it. But what's going on around the gray sheet? So just wanted to give everybody a little bit of background on like how this came to be. So we just thought we would throw out, the group of us that did it, and I will talk about the process, a few short questions, just trying to tap into why was there this disconnect with service, and why were people like, what were people talking about? And so that's how we came to do this. First, I just want to thank, there's 34 people on here. I don't know who filled it out. It was totally anonymous, but a huge thank you to any of you who did. We had 225 responses, which is quite impressive given the size of our community. So it really speaks to the thoughtfulness and commitment of our community. So we are all a community. And how can we share this with other compulsive overeaters, which is really our primary purpose? So process, very briefly. There were 3 board members on the committee. We split them equally. Every person had 75 responses. We looked at them, we analyzed them individually. The 3 of us had our 75 responses that we thoroughly read. And basically, we focused on the number of years abstinent and mostly on question number 5. For those of you who did not see it or maybe didn't do it, question number 5 specifically was, are there any additional concerns, such as with GSA new initiatives, that you would like to express? And but the 2 of them is really what we focused on. If it was a newcomer commenting versus whether it was somebody who had 40 plus years. Keep in mind, we were all aware that the survey was already slightly biased towards, some of the concerns, because it was saying the board has received feedback about the existing structure of World Service. So it already primed people, to have somewhat of a negative slant. So we all, that's a given. And in a way, we wanted to hear it, and so briefly, the statistics, because you can't do a survey without statistics. I am the farthest thing from a statistician that you may encounter. And I just want to reiterate, when I said the word informal, referring to like the questions, this was really to tap into some of the bigger, the responses that were consistently coming in from people. We wanted the issues that maybe the board didn't know about to rise to the top. So 10% of the responses were from people who were between 0 and 1 years abstinent. 25% were between 1 and 5 years abstinent. 50% were between 5 and 15 years abstinent. 15% between 15 and 40, and 10% 40 plus. So, the chunk have been in GreySheet for at least 5 years. Findings. People were very grateful for the time, the commitment, and the generosity with which the existing board and, other service people serve. They feel safe that there is competent leadership, and they felt that GSAWS is that stands for GSA World Service, is a smoothly run entity. And there were many of those. I mean, people were very kind about complimenting the existing board. There were also some concerns, and this is what I had heard about, and these came up to the top regularly. Time management, number of meetings, unnecessary meetings. I'm gonna quote, these are just pieces from people. Before retirement, I may never be a GSR since it entails attending intergroup committee committees connecting meetings, and trainings for world service. Too structured, registering and re-registering, groups, compulsory service. Again, there's an issue that comes up if this is really true or the perception. It almost doesn't matter because we need to address it. Not focusing enough on spreading the message, too many hoops to jump through, does not feel like a bottom-up organization, feels like it has become a business model inconsistent with our small community. So those are the common threads. So I have asked someone who actually signed her survey, even though it was completely anonymous, but I knew who it was. She wrote, and I won't name her name here, but I have permission to read a specific response. And the reason I want to read it to all of you is because it was beautifully written and articulates really what we have found to be an overall perception. So, with that, it's not super long. As a GSR, I have dutifully shared the resolutions with my home group and invited members to discuss them. In practice, this has meant that most members have little or no interest, and the members who engage in the conversations still see the resolutions as something distant from their immediate lives. As a new participant in GSAWS, I find that I am impressed by the organization and dedication of the people who have been doing this work for over 2 decades. However, there is still a real divide between the concept of world service and local GreySheet life. The more I learn about GSAWS, the more I respect it and how much it has accomplished. Yet there is still a disconnect between the larger organization and the people it serves. GreySheet abstinence is very close to the earth, acquiring food, preparing food, eating food 3 times a day, day after day. The success of the program rests on the fact that the individuals and groups remain focused on our primary purpose of attaining and maintaining abstinence in ourselves and sharing it with others. I don't think we feel that GSAs is part of that primary purpose. And that is someone who has over 40 years in abstinence. So we did this survey. We did not do it just to spew out a report. We are listening. We have heard people, and I was one of those people grumbling. Personally, I joined the board to represent the people who want to be abstinent and want to do service while simultaneously living their lives. And I think and hope, and I'm going to launch into this, we've already made changes since the survey. And I feel excited because I do feel like this board, and thank you to Grania and Stacy who shepherd us through, have been open to listening and open to making these changes. So I just do want to let people know, even from, as I said, this short time, we have already moved the chair and ISR meetings to every other month. I know specific committees are now meeting every other month. I believe Committees Connecting has now moved to quarterly, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure, but Carla is, anyway, yes, Grania's shaking her head. We are making it clear, again, talk about perception, that if one is a GSR, you are not required to be part of a committee. That was actually something that for the first time came up in a board meeting because many of us thought it was a requirement. And it became clear that no, it wasn't. We have hired, again, it was this way, but people didn't know. We have a, thank you, Carolyn, professional social media consultant to focus solely on spreading the message. We have reinstated the Public Information Committee. That was dormant for a while. We have reinstated the Website Committee. That was dormant for a while. And a lot of great ideas swirling around. I want to mention that the board will suggest to the conference committee that it consider whether we do an in-person World Service every other year, and maybe on the off years just have a very short, report so that we can maintain our tax exempt status. So those are the ways that we're already working towards these changes. It is a great segue into, the initial reason for doing this. There has been a drop off in service. Some committees, again, they were dormant because it felt daunting to do some of this stuff. And I think that what I would like to present to the community, and this was the reason we did this, is we are listening. We want people to participate in any way that you can. We don't want to load people down with meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. We want to spread the message. That is our primary purpose. So it's a little bit of a shout out at this point before questions for doing service. And it's the people who are on this meeting, there's probably a high probability that most of us do already do service, but it's just spreading the word out there that we are hearing the community. So that is pretty much what I have to report. Just again, on a personal note, I love this community. I do not want there to be grumblings. And that's the nature of the world. Not everyone's going to like everything. But, our committee just felt like there was a way that we could try to get at some of this and to show the community we are one. It's not this person or this person, the board, GSAs, we are one. And so with that, I thank you for the opportunity. Again, thank you to the board for being open to doing this survey, because sometimes, there's a little be careful what you wish for. But I feel like we're ready to take it on. So with that, I will stop talking and I will open up for any questions that anybody has.
I
Is it
just
2
wanted-
minutes, yes, or 3?
How many minutes do we have left, Marvin?
We have 4 minutes left.
Okay, so in the 4 minutes left, are there any questions for Barbara? I just want to start out by saying that I have intimate knowledge of what it took to create the survey and to interpret the survey and to this entire process, and a very, very big shout out to Barbara L. I so appreciate the amount of work that you put in for the sole purpose for the community to feel heard, and then for us to make any changes or recommend any changes that would be helpful. So anyway, any questions for Barbara or anyone on the board about this? Okay. Thank you to everybody for participating and for listening. Grania, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Stacy. I'm Grania, compulsive eater, and Stacy said it beautifully. I would like to also thank Barbara and Stacy for the work on the survey. It's a long, drawn-out process and a lot of work, and it's just I really appreciate it. I also wanted to mention and give a shout out to the structure committee and to Maggie, who Maggie proposed that if you were willing to serve as the chair of a committee, you could be a World Service delegate as a function of being the chair. You did not have to also be a GSR or an ISR. Previously, only GSRs and ISRs could be delegates to the conference. And then on top of that, you were a chair, and that was a lot of work. And so now the structure committee took that up, and that proposal was passed, and so now you can be a chair of a committee and become a delegate just on the base, not just, but you don't also have to represent a group or an intergroup. So that's also a way of addressing the concern about the amount of work involved in service. And I'll just give one more additional one. Is prior to that, we had also adopted something that is very little known still, which is the position of specialist, which is a world specialist is somebody who does a specific task for world service, like coordinate the area contact list or manage our Facebook group. I'm sorry, I have an unstable connection, sorry. But if you do a specific task and that's all you have the availability for,
I need to figure everything out and make decisions.
Specialist,
but
and become a delegate on the basis of that, as opposed to, again, being a GSR or an ISR. So lots of things on the basis of your feedback. Keep it coming. Thanks.
Thank you, Grania. Marvin.
Figure it was a minute left. I just wanted to thank all the board members and stuff like that that put the survey together and took the risks and put the stuff out. Everybody, I ain't gonna name, you know what you did. They did a lot of service to, clarify that, we need a little change. People wasn't doing service, and I appreciate the openness of the board. And I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marvin. Any other questions? Okay. All right. All right. Thank you again, Barbara and everyone. And let's go to, it's 20 minutes total, Marvin. It's about 5 minutes for each person. So we have first for the integrity of the gray sheet. And what this is these are an update on our on the progress of our vision, which is when anyone anywhere realizes they have a problem with food, that they think of the gray sheet solution. This is the board's vision. And there are 4 parts of that: the integrity of the gray sheet, literature, public information, and website. So first, Grania, for 5 minutes on the integrity of the gray sheet.
Well, luckily, since my internet connection in far, far Western Ireland is so bad, my report is very brief this quarter. The board continues to protect the integrity of the gray sheet by ensuring that we implement the World Service Conference adopted resolution about how we distribute the gray sheet. Which you all know, the gray sheet comes with a sponsor. So that's our general, we do whatever we can to help facilitate that. And nothing has changed in that regard. And then we also do what we can to ensure that we're protecting the traditions, concepts, and really the traditions. So we get a lot of questions about groups and intergroups and how they should interpret the traditions. And we do our best to keep people in the AA tradition on how to interpret traditions. And that's pretty much it. For nothing new on that front. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you so much, Grania. I don't see Sharon on my screen, but she's probably here. Sharon, are you here?
Actually, Stacy, Sharon will not be here. I'm presenting for her.
Excellent. Thank you, Debbie. So that's 5 minutes, please, for Debbie for literature.
Hi, everybody. Debbie, compulsive eater. Glad to be here this morning. A few of the things that we want to share with you today is one of which we're finalizing work right before printing for a book called Sharing the Solution. And just briefly, it's 35 letters taken from meetings in Austin, Texas, by a beloved member of our group, sent to a person in a outpost. And so we're combining that and making it into a book ready to be printed soon. We're also working on a newcomer's booklet. We're working on several translations of the GSA conference approved literature in Spanish, French, Hebrew, Icelandic, Bulgarian, and Polish, while also reaching out to the worldwide community to invite any other countries where there are at least 10 or more members wishing to translate GSA conference approved literature into their language. And if someone is interested, or you know someone is interested in doing that, please refer them to the email literature@greysheet.org. It goes right to our chairperson, and we can go from there. And we want to remind the countries wishing to translate the Gray Sheet food plan into their language. They will also need to translate the clarifications document, which gets distributed with the Gray Sheet by a sponsor to a sponsee. And the last thing, this is important, calling for volunteers who would like to work on the GSA history book. A subcommittee is needed, led by a subcommittee chair. We can use volunteers or people that hold actual positions, GSR, ISR. Until these volunteers are in place, the history book remains unfinished. And that's it for me. Any other questions? I'll be happy to try and answer.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. So, all right. For website, Carolyn is here. Carolyn, 5 minutes for Carolyn, please, Marvin.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn, abstinent and grateful. I actually did a little PowerPoint presentation just because we're kind of, the website committee is sort of new and reconstituted, and I wanted to sort of go over background of the website. So I just clicked share, and are you seeing my screen? Okay. So we are the website committee. And we have 7 members. We just have only had 2 meetings. We just started, and we have a couple of other people possibly interested. And what we consider ourselves as sort of a think tank for the website. We're here to discuss and decide on, making the website better, keeping it updated. And we do not ourselves make changes. We have an outside consultant, actually 2, one who's a GreySheeter and one who's a paid person who's not a GreySheeter, who make the actual changes. So you don't have to be technical to be on our committee if anybody's interested. So our website is GreySheet.org, is designed to support the primary purpose of our website is to support our primary purpose as GreySheeters, which is to stay abstinent and to help other compulsive eaters to achieve abstinence, as we all know. So in terms of staying abstinent, that's for our community meetings, making sure people can find out about meetings and recovery events, service events, and information about stories of GreySheeters, which are, usually very uplifting, information on principles, information, a lot more stuff that I'll get into, but, lots of stuff for our community. And then in terms of helping other compulsive eaters to achieve abstinence, we are a first port of entry for newcomers. The new social media person who's been hired, who's not me, by the way, but thanks for saying thank you, Barbara. And it wasn't even our committee who hired her. I think it was public information, or maybe the board directly. But the whole purpose of that social media person is to drive people to the website. So when they come to the website, we want to have a warm, welcoming, informative place for them to get them going. One thing we do not have on the website, very obviously, I'm sure to everybody here, is we do not have GreySheets available on the website, but we have multiple explanations that the GreySheet only comes with a sponsor, and we have multiple explanations of how to find a sponsor. So the website is actually new as of a few years ago. It was sort of a very static pamphlet, and it got redesigned during the pandemic by a GreySheeter who did a wonderful job, and it has a real richness of content and information. And I encourage people to spend some time looking around and seeing everything that's on there. From the Google surveys I get, I see that something like 95% or more of the people who go to the website just go there and look at the calendar, and that's it. But there's a lot more there. If you're have questions about, where do I find the format for meetings, or all kinds of stuff is on there, and it is pretty well organized, but sometimes you have to look a little to find it. And when you go to look at it, if you see problems, let me know. I have the address at the end, but it's website@GreySheet.org for anything you see, or just if you have suggestions. So again, we want to be a welcoming, informative site to carry the message of recovery, an entryway for people seeking solutions, important information for our members about all kinds of recovering stuff, a clearinghouse for the 8 other GreySheet committees, and have access to literature and members. Some of our core functions for helping people connect with other GreySheeters and with meetings are the calendar, registering for new meetings, registering for events, area contacts lists. Those last 3 are not actually done by the website committee. They're done by specific people at these addresses: registrar, events, and area contacts. When you go to the website, you find those addresses, and those are specific GreySheeters who have taken on a service position to monitor those things, but they're actually not on our committee. So I just have a little more about newcomers, because that is so important, and especially now that we're trying to drive more newcomers, and in terms of whenever anyone anywhere has a problem with food, we want them to think of the GreySheet solution, and generally we want them to come here to find out how to, so this is just showing some of the ways we welcome newcomers. Like on the home page, there's where to start. Then this is the whole newcomers section, and there's more of it. So the calendar, as I said, that's the main thing people come to the website for. Predating our very brief tenure of the 2 months, the Board of Trustees hired a GreySheeter to update the calendar and make it much more flexible and workable, and also hand in glove with that to update the group registration form. I think that was one of the things in the survey we just heard. it's very clunky if you're re-registering, if your group changes its time or whatever, you have to put in all the info again. So this is in process. And it's hopefully going to happen soon. It's a little bit out of our hands how soon it happens, but we are really urgently aware that people urgently need this. And one thing that might sound trivial is that, but it's really big, is that meetings will show up in your local time zone. Because say it's 5 o'clock, I happen to be in New Jersey today. It's 5 o'clock in New Jersey. I go on the website to see what meetings there are. Oh, there's a meeting at 5 o'clock. It's in Israel. It was already like 12 hours ago. Oh, there's another meeting at 5 o'clock. It's in Chicago. It already happened, like, so that's really an important thing. So that's going to happen soon, we hope. As I said, it's important to us to work with other committees. I won't read all this, but there's many ways we can work with them. I put literature first because we are very keen to get stories and literature and showcase it on the website, because that's something that I think helps bring newcomers into the fold, reading real people's stories. And literature said they're going to be working to generate more stories, and then we will talk to them also about excerpting some of the existing literature. And I won't read everything about all the committees, but if you're on a committee, feel free to reach out about ways we can work together and how we can showcase your work to the rest of our fellowship. And that's it. So please let us know at website at GreySheet.org what you think we need to change and do better. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Carolyn. And thank you to the website committee. And thank you to all of the presenters. I appreciate it. We are still doing well for time. We'll finish up at the bottom of the hour. And so it's 90 minutes total. I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning. So now it's 15 minutes total, Marvin, 5 minutes for each presenter. We have our intergroup presentations. We have first Caroline from the Southern Central Intergroup. Is Caroline here? Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. So I am Caroline W.L. From Florida. I am the chair of the Southern Central Intergroup. And just a little bit about the Southern Central Intergroup. Basically, the history of the intergroup, how we came about, and how long we've been around. It was formed in 2005. It was reformed June 17, 2012 in preparation for the first World Service Conference in 2013. At the time, the ISR was Sheila P. From Houston, and that was from 2012 to 2016. We merged with the Southeast Intergroup in 2018 and became the Southern States Intergroup. And the ISR at the time was Eileen W. from Taos, New Mexico. And that was from 2016 to 2020. Then we merged with Midwest Intergroup in 2020, and we became the Southern Central Intergroup. And at the time, I was the ISR from Florida, and that was from 2020 to 2024. I currently chair the ISR. We do have service positions, but we exemplify the idea of never giving up. We first formed our intergroup in 2005. But soon went dormant. Once we reestablished ourselves, we became actively involved in our first intergroup service representative, ISR, and that was with Sheila. Currently, I know right now we are in the process of doing another merger. But the intergroup is still very active. We are the first to have the podcast. We actually have a podcast that supports different speakers. We also have the YouTube channel. We have had speaker blasts. So our effort has tried to be a very interactive intergroup and provide the needed services, certainly to those multiple service areas. We are one of the largest intergroups currently right now with 32 states and province. Have 173 number of GreySheeters, and we have about 14 groups. Let's see. Are there any questions for me? I'm just rambling on.
All right. Thank you, Caroline, so much. Enjoy your
welcome.
time with your grandchild.
Yes, I apologize for that. But she's like, I'm hungry, girl. So we
We're all
all know
hungry.
how it
Oh,
is as GreySheeters when we get hungry. So
thank
um,
you.
thank you.
I'm Inga, compulsive eater, and grateful to be abstinent. Grania, can you please put in the video that I sent to you?
I'm expecting to meet a bunch of really amazing people, see some spectacular things in nature. There are no words. They are just so amazingly beautiful. It literally takes your breath away.
You all just have to come to Iceland to experience this wonderful land that we live in. But of course, we got our challenges here because of the winter and everything. About Iceland and we have 5 meetings. Unfortunately, we have been losing a lot of people away from GreySheet. We have a lot of other solutions here that people can go through, and you only have to pay. So that's our main challenges here, but we don't have a lot of newcomers, but we have to find something out to get people to come here, to come more to the GreySheet, because this is the solution that we know. It's a wonderful solution. Unfortunately, like I said, we have been losing a lot of old timers. A lot of people have gone, but I think that those people are coming back sometime later. So we have to survive through this stage. I think so. To keep on waiting and have our hearts open so these people are welcome back when they come. Otherwise, the community that we have here is going strong. We're not all that many people yet, but we will survive this, I think. And I don't think we have anything else to tell you about it. It's just going well that we have here. So I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm eager to get to know you and connect to the bigger world than Iceland. Thank you
so much, Inga. So beautiful. That was so beautiful, the video. All right. Are there any questions for the intergroup presenters? Okay, thank you so much for the presentations. We'll now do, Marvin, 5 minutes on the 7th tradition. And is Jen going to do that?
Hi, everybody. I do what you all do. I'm glad to be asked. I serve as the finance chair liaison. And so we have a little bit of like changes. I know it'll work out. We're gonna, we have a lot of people interested in doing service for the finance committee. And so I know we're on in a huge, great direction going forward. But I wanted to just show you what our plan is for this year and kind of go through what do we do with the seventh tradition that comes in. So as you know, you can donate your seventh tradition to either your intergroup, to your groups, or directly to GreySheet. I think one question that before I jump into like what do you do with the money, this comes up all the time, is if I donate directly to my intergroup, does it get tracked, or like how do we keep track? So when we have that summary table of donations, if you donate to a group that's in a certain intergroup, everything gets sorted out like when your donations come in. So no worries, everything's accounted for. So I just wanted to make that clear. So, but what's this money for? So if you think about it, like our primary purpose is to share this message. So the top three things that we do and why we have a budget each year and perform service with the seventh tradition is to protect the integrity of GreySheet, maintain an internet presence. We just had a wonderful presentation about website. Thank you, thank you. I'm so excited for the new revitalized committee. Awesome. Publish literature, so write down what our knowledge and share it with others, and reach out to the public so that more people can hear about this amazing gift that I and so many other people have been gifted to transform our lives. So the primary cost for these those functions, because obviously those are very ethereal, like how do you actually do that? One of us, as previously mentioned, is to maintain our status as a 501c3. So to do that, you got to protect yourself. So we have some attorney's fees. We have website fees that we pay to upgrade and maintain the website, publication and printing of our books, and now and in the future. So anything we currently have, but also the others that are being written. We have a few really cool ones that are coming. I'm excited to hear about those soon. We have a social media professional that helps manage our accounts. That seems to be a very major component of how people are hearing about food programs, and specifically how we want people to hear about GreySheet. So we're definitely have been using that and hearing from the people in our organization saying, look, that's how I found it. Or like, if I had found it this way, I'm not Googling it, I'm not seeing it in newspapers, like it's through social media. And so that's one thing that we definitely do, and have added a social media person, and general operations and maintenance, just the general costs associated with maintaining our status as a non-for-profit. And how the budget process works is at the end of a year, we solicit budgets from each of the committees, and then the finance committee comes together, proposes a budget. It goes to the board of trustees to review, ask questions, maybe go back to the committees if there's any like clarifications needed, and kind of set a budget. Another very, very important function of the finance committee and our treasurer and bookkeeper is making sure that we have a sufficient prudent reserve on hand for when eventualities come up. There's also longer term costs that we know about that we are planning for. So we also have like that budgeted on the side too. Like again, making sure that long term we're healthy and sustainable and can make sure that we're here for everyone to come, and from just maintain our presence and be able to keep being here. So let's see. Yeah, so maintain prudent reserve, additional legal expenses if there's ever an unanticipated website expenses, and then possible literature, like if we have a new thing that comes up and it wasn't planned, we want to make sure that we have a little bit of extra cash, because if we got new stuff we want to get out, we want to get it out. So that's awesome. All right, just in summary for like our budgets, for protecting the integrity of the GreySheet program, it's about $5,000 we've set aside an additional $5,000. And again, that's like legal fees because it's copyrighted and we need to preserve and maintain that copyrighted, because that's very important for us going forward, to maintain that and keep the integrity of it. For internet related to the website, it's about 13,000, and there's 9 again for those contingency things set aside in the prudent reserve. Publishing literature, there's about $2,000 that we're expected for publishing cost, with 8 like on reserve, 15,000 for general operations. And again, that long-term kind of prudent reserve and future in-person conferences like that, there's about 30 grand set aside in the prudent reserve for those purposes. So let's see, in total, it's around $87,000. Again, that includes those set asides, as they call them. I know finances whatever, but there's that set aside that's not necessarily like day-to-day operations, is 87,000. And just in case you're curious, last year we had 41,000. You might immediately go, oh my gosh, that's half. How do we maintain ourselves? But again, prudent reserve, it's cash on hand we have already. It's not like we need to have that come in again. So hopefully that makes sense. And someone please interrupt me if I'm explaining incorrectly, but that's my understanding of it. So, all right, then I want to just show, there's this great pie graph that our wonderful, wonderful treasurer pulled together, Joyce. Let me share my screen. I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me. So here are 2024 expenses. Again, this is everything I just said verbally, but I guess I should have shared that while I was like going through it, but that's okay. So there's the 87,000. Again, that our actual expenses are in blue, and then those set asides for potential future things that are, again, that in a fund, like that are just there to make sure that we're good to go going forward. And if unexpected stuff comes up, because you never know. And we want to make sure we're good to go. So a few other things that aren't shown on here that we want to mention and has actually come up throughout this meeting is the social media manager. It's about $600 a month for her services. Wordly, which is super important to make sure that we're being able to get our message out, regardless of if you're English or whatever language you are. So that's about $420 a month, or about $5K a year. And then the final piece was bookkeeper. So that the distinction between treasurer and bookkeeper, I think sometimes it gets confused of like, well, why do we need both? The idea for a bookkeeper would be is someone who literally like receives the donations, pays our expenses, write the check. So it's the just purely money side of it. Yeah, a bookkeeper. Whereas the treasurer is somebody who sometimes the bookkeeper, I guess, is someone who's in GreySheet, but the treasurer is definitely someone who's in GreySheet and is absent and meets the requirements and is looking for the bigger picture of our budget and making sure that, you know, if there's changes or issues, or if the bookkeeper comes up with things they have questions on, she's that person that will first address it, investigate it, and then as needed, present it to the board. And again, making sure that everybody's informed on what's going on, because, you know, our policies and procedures that Joyce especially did a lot of work, and I'm so grateful for her. Here, I can stop sharing. To preserve our 501c3 and make sure that we are in good standing with the state of New York. The last thing we want to have is put that into jeopardy. So just really, really grateful for the service givers and the people who in the past and currently are helping on the finance side, and that please know that like when you donate, it's going to help us. It's helping us get our literature out and get our message out on the website and social media. And I'm really excited for what's to come. And if you have any questions, let me know. Whoa, I wasn't even looking at the time. Yes.
Awesome, Jen. Thank you so much. All right. Any questions for Jen? Okay. And then Marvin, if you can please give Grania up to 5 minutes to make some World Service announcements.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm going to turn off my video and see if that helps with the quality of the audio. Hopefully that will make it more stable. Thank you for the suggestion, Stacy. So the only announcements I have about anything new or timely that you will need to know about is our World Service Conference meeting of all the delegates is the last Sunday in October, October 27th. So that means we have to publish all of the proposals and the agenda 30 days in advance. So that's September 27th. And so we need to register our delegates well in advance of that time so they can prepare by discussing the proposals with their groups and intergroups. So registration as a delegate for the conference meeting starts in June and it will run until August. But it really behooves us to register as soon as your group or intergroup approves you as a delegate. So you can go to the website and register as a delegate. You can also register as a delegate if you're the chair of a committee or a an elected World Service specialist, or a trustee. So those are the 5 categories of delegates we have. And we have training in June, the first Sunday and first Tuesday in June, during the day on Sunday and during the evening on Tuesday, the first Sunday and Tuesday in June. And that will be how to prepare for the conference. And then we have training the first Sunday and first Tuesday of October, how to participate in the conference meeting. So the training in June is specifically for anybody not been a delegate before. It doesn't change from year to year. But the training in October is completely different every year. So everybody needs to attend that training in October if they plan to be a delegate to the conference. All of that information is on a Google Calendar on the website under World Services calendar. And on that calendar, you'll also see our next town hall, which is in July, the last Saturday in July. You'll also see our quarterly committees connecting when you hear from 3 or 4 committees about their proposals. That's in June. And you can also see when you can get together to hear about traditions and concepts that we're all invited to study in advance of being a delegate to the conference. That's all on the World Service calendar on the website. Barbara mentioned that a lot of committees and World Service meetings have decreased in frequency. And another one that has decreased in frequency is the chairs and ISRs. So if you're an ISR or the chair of a committee, an intergroup service representative, or a committee chair, we now only meet quarterly. So our next meeting will be in July. It'll be the same month as the town halls. Everything we're going to be doing for the next 6 months is preparing us to come together and take a group conscience for world services as a whole. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
Just some clarification, Grania. Thank you for that. So the World Service Conference meeting is October 26th. Is that correct?
Is that the last Sunday? Did I get the number wrong?
I think it's the 26th is the last Sunday in October. Okay.
Thank you. You're correct.
All right.
Thank you.
And then so the next town hall, in case it was difficult to hear, we heard almost everything, is July 26th. And they're on Saturdays this year. We're alternating every other year with Saturdays and Sundays so we can get more participation. Any questions for Grania? Okay, so it's 8 after the top of the hour.
Just have a comment.
Oh, go ahead, Mindy.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I raised my real hand. Thank you, everybody, for your presentations. I'm sorry I have to run out. And thank you, Grania, for talking about the conference. I noticed that a couple of people registered, and I just wanted to say that thank you, but registration isn't quite open yet. So the board has to vote on our recommendation to increase the price, which was for the purpose of covering the World Service expenses, which we never have. It's the parliamentarian and the transcriptionist, and the board has to approve that. So I don't know why it went live. I can speak to the webmaster, but I apologize about that. We were just working on it and it was posted. So if you registered, and we can refund the $10 if it doesn't go through, and just don't register yet until you get the email from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mindy. And Mindy's chair of the conference committee. Just to circle back and close the loop, there wasn't a lot of feedback or concerns or just, questions for the Board of Trustees in the beginning. So I said I'd circle back at the end. Maybe it was helpful with Barbara L's presentation. Is there anything anyone would like to ask any member of the Board of Trustees at this time? And you can always reach out to us individually or chair@greysheet.org. If you have an anonymous comment or question or feedback, you can send it to communication@greysheet.org, and that will be anonymous. I just want to, if there's nothing, I don't see any virtual hands. So again, I want to respect your time. No hands. Okay. I want to thank Barbara L. for your presentation. So much for that. I want to thank Grania, who spoke about the integrity of the Gray Sheet, Debbie for literature, Carolyn for website, and Caroline for the Southern Central Intergroup, Inga for Iceland, Jen reporting on our 7th tradition, Marvin for timing, everyone for being here. So appreciate you. And let's go ahead and close this town hall with the Serenity Prayer. God,
Serenity
to
accept the
Things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can,
and wisdom.
and the wisdom to know the difference.
Coming back.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
you.
Bye.
Amazing.